Hello.
There we are.
Everyone, welcome to Ask Dad. And may I just say, may the 4th be with you.
Wow. May the 4th be with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I taught you that joke.
No, you did not teach me that. No,
I
the
did,
fuck you
and
did not. No,
I did.
No, zip it. I will mute your mic. Mute. Fuck. Anyway, hello everyone.
Hey.
And welcome to Ask Dad, the dad show that's not just for dads, but for everybody that wants fatherly advice. I can't find my mouse. There we are. Whether you're here for the bad dad joke or for me to trip over my own words or who knows, you can gain some insight from Will Snow, who is the man, the myth, and the legend in his own mind. He knows all things, so he says. So please welcome to today's episode of Ask Dad. We love you. We love you. You're amazing. All right, Will Snow. By the way, you stole that from me. You had no idea it was a thing. And then you're walking around taking the credit for the big salad.
It was awesome.
No, actually it wasn't. Well, it was
People
more
were
awesome.
laughing. They were smiling.
Yeah.
We all had a good time.
Yeah, we even had a really good time when I got back to you on Earth Day. And I told you we were in Costa Rica, and I told you it was Earth Day, which was actually the next day. So you're walking all around the resort. Happy Earth Day. And people are looking like you had 5 heads. I was like, yeah, that's right. That is right.
Oh, yes, revenge.
Revenge.
It's a dish
Different-
that's
best served cold.
Best served in Costa Rica.
Yeah, with the delicious coffee.
Oh, yeah.
And the oh my God, the breakfast, the huevos rancheros.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
It was amazing.
I'm telling you, I
Let's
miss
go
it.
back.
I do.
As do I. Okay.
I do. It's very nice. It's always a lovely, always good to have good memories of.
It is. It truly is.
But yes, May the 4th, it is Star Wars Day, isn't it?
It
Is it not?
It is.
And so I have a Star Wars dad joke for you.
Go on.
So why are people at Star Wars conventions so happy?
Why?
Because of the Endor fans.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay. And Endor fans.
Yeah, I got it.
Endor fans.
I got it.
Endor
for God's
fans.
sakes. If you haven't seen Andor, please do so. All right. What did Yoda ride as a kid?
What did Yoda ride as a kid?
He rode a deucicle because there is no try.
Oh, God.
Yep.
Okay.
They love me.
They do.
They love me.
They do so love you.
How many times have you seen Star Wars?
A few.
Not enough.
Not enough.
I could quote the entire movie right now.
Please. Oh, well, I would. Why don't we just give you the show and let you run with it?
No, I'll take the show next week.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, so that's it, listeners. Just be ready for next week because we're changing the show up for Mother's Day. It's going to be Ask Deb. That's right.
Ask Deb for Mother's Day.
That's correct. Because no one wants to hear from Dad on Mother's Day. It's just not a happening thing.
All right. So, listeners, prepare your questions for the one and only me. Ask Deb.
That's right.
Debo.
Ask Debo.
All right. So what would you like to talk about today, Will Snow, on this amazing 4th of May?
So many things running through my mind these days.
Yeah?
Yes. And I've been thinking that we have to be practical. It's a practical dad advice day.
Okay.
That's a practical dad advice day. We're not gonna talk about the soul's journey. We're not gonna talk about, time. We're not gonna talk about quieting the noises of the mind. All very good topics, though, and you should listen to our former
Episodes.
Yes, those.
Yeah. Did you not think of the word?
I was gapping a little. It's okay.
Were you gapping it?
Yeah.
Well, it is going to be about stormy in about 10 minutes. So
Yeah, those
So it
stormy
makes-
days, they
makes
make me
you
just sleepy.
tired and sleepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, what I was going to talk about was buying a house. Let's talk about dad advice at buying a house.
Buying a
real estate
house.
purchases.
Okay, let's go.
No, yeah, I was actually reading this article. It was very interesting that back in the 2020-2021 kind of environment when, the pandemic was racing through and upending everybody's lives and remote work looked like it was going to be the thing of the future etc. And people were buying houses left, and mortgage rates were really low, so people were jumping in, buying houses all over the place, remote locations, way out of the city centers, just throwing their, and everybody was racing to get their houses, and doing all kinds of crazy things. And I was actually looking for a house at that time. And I had to, I was putting in bids and getting blown out the doors because people were offering, 10 to 20% higher than the actual asking price, which was already outrageous. And then they were asking people to waive contingencies on the purchase, like waiving their inspection contingency and waiving their finance contingency, in order to get at what they consider to be an acceptable offer to the seller. And that was absolutely, in my opinion, crazy and insane. And as it turns out, a lot of the people who rushed into these house purchases at that time and now are realizing what they actually signed up for, and the situation that they're in, are trying to unload these houses en masse. And so that's going to be very interesting because it's hard to get rid of a house. In fact, that's the whole point I want to make here. When you're looking for a house, it is not an investment. Okay. People who, look, you can use your house as an investment over time.
Sure.
It will, hopefully appreciate in value. And sometimes it might appreciate more quickly than in other times. But it's not an investment. It's a place to live. And you got to deal with that place to live. I've owned a few homes, and I have to say, quite frankly, I don't know if I ever really want to do it again.
Right.
It's just a pain.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest, unless you're going to be somewhere or live somewhere, and you're going to live there, and you're going to like it there for at least 7 years, do not buy a house, because these things are they're just like anchors trying to get rid of them. That's a lot of good things about home ownership, truly.
Okay.
But when you're looking at, if you're going to buy a property, you got to understand that you're going to be, you can't get rid of it that easily. You've got closing costs to buy that house, but the closing costs are usually not on the buyer's side; they're on the seller's side. So when you sell a house, you're going to take probably good 10%, maybe even more off the value of that house and closing costs. So when you're doing that, that means, you have to get a pretty significant amount of appreciation on that house. And so it's something that you really want to think through and work with a professional, professional financial planner. Really good idea before you jump into buying a house. But there are certain protections in place for home buyers. Like, for example, there's a fine. So you put an offer into a house, and the seller accepts that offer. You have protection. Say, for example, maybe the price on the house was higher than your mortgage company is really going to be willing to pay. And you can't get proper financing on the house. Well, that if you put a down payment on the house and now you can't get financing for it, if you have waived your finance contingency, well, then you can't get your down payment back. Okay, which is crazy. Yeah. Right? Or I'm sorry, not your down payment, your earnest money. So the earnest money.
Let's do some definitions.
So earnest money, so you put an offer on a house and the seller accepts the offer. You have to bring in like $10,000 or so worth of earnest money or more. And that earnest money means that you're going to work on getting your financing for the house. So that is if things fall through, you can get your earnest money back, because it's not something, or if the house goes through and you have a house inspection and it turns out the house has all kinds of things that are wrong with it, which is frequently the case. Sure. There are things that are really not good with some of the way some of these houses and the way they're built. you can back out of the deal and you don't lose your earnest money if you have contingencies built into the sales contract. So you don't want to waive those things because they're there for your protection, right? And anybody who tries to bully you into waiving your protection, probably not a good deal. You should probably walk away from it. Yeah. But like for example, when house prices were going up so fast, there were no mortgage companies look to comparable prices for comparable sized houses in the area. And so if the comps come in and they are way lower than what you're actually paying for the house, you're not going to be able to get that financed by the mortgage company. There's going to be a gap in that, and you're going to have to come up with that additional money. So for example, if you have a house that, just to say, it's $500,000.
Okay.
And all the comps in the neighborhood are only about 400,000 for similar square footage houses in the same neighborhoods. Your mortgage company is very unlikely to give you a $500,000 loan. They're going to say, okay, well, we'll give you a loan of 400,000 because that's what the comps are like, and you're going to have to come up with that additional $100,000 in cash to bring it to close. And it's a very complex process. There's a lot of moving pieces in it. And it's not something that the point I'm making is you don't ever want to rush into this decision.
Right.
So when people are looking at the market and going, oh my God, if I don't get a house now, I'm never going to get a house, et cetera, it's this, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll just react.
Yeah.
And jump on everything, and then it just feeds. It's like this feeding frenzy.
Would you say that would be a fear-based decision?
Yes, I do. It's the fear of missing out, right? If I don't
FOMO.
get this now, I'm never going to get it, and that's nonsense. And that's not how it works. And I'm not saying that you forego any opportunity to buy a house, but do it at your own pace, on your own schedule. And think things through very, very, very clearly. But the number one thing I would think people need to understand is that you need to, if you're not going to be there for at least 7 years,
right,
forget about it.
Yeah.
Just don't, because it's just not worth it.
And then what are all the other hidden costs that people tend to not think about when buying a house? Usually they just think about, my monthly mortgage. Great, I can afford this. But what are all the other things you have to think about?
Well, they think about the PITI. So principal, interest, tax, and insurance.
Okay.
So when you're considering your house, you have to look at more than just the mortgage payment. You're paying your principal and interest. That's your mortgage payment. Taxes as well. You have property tax, and that is due every year. And so what a lot of mortgage companies will do is will roll that into your actual payment, because you have to, and they'll put it in an escrow account and pay it out of that escrow account at the end of the year, because you need to pay property tax as a big chunk. It's big chunk to come out of your hide every year. Also, there is insurance, homeowners insurance, which a lot of you might be reading about right now. Homeowners insurance is not a guarantee anymore. It's not as easy as it used to be because of all of the disasters that have wiped out so many homes. A lot of insurance companies aren't even, like, for example, in Florida. Good luck.
Yeah.
A lot of companies are not even covering anymore, and the insurance premiums are pretty substantial. Yeah. And that you got to pay that too. Otherwise, you can't keep your mortgage in good faith. And it's not, you're not going to be able to keep your mortgage if you don't pay for the insurance, because the insurance is there to be sure that if the house gets wiped off the face of the earth, right, that the mortgage company will get paid. Right.
So if the mortgage company doesn't have a definitive backup, they're not
they're not going to give you a mortgage. If you have a mortgage, and your insurance company says, "Oh, well, we're not going to cover that anymore," which has happened to me, where they're like, "Oh yeah, we're not gonna cover properties in that part of the state anymore." Oh well, good luck.
Wow.
Good luck to you. And so then the mortgage company comes in and says, "Hey, where's the insurance? If you don't get insurance, we're going to call the mortgage due like right now."
So if you had, say, you mentioned a $500,000 mortgage, you'd basically have to come up with that, or they would foreclose on you and you would be kicked out.
Yeah, that's how it works. Wow. So you've got to have you got to incorporate that, and then there's also the fact that you've got to all the repair costs. Anything goes wrong with that property, you're on the hook.
Yeah.
Water line breaks, electricity goes out,
air conditioning.
Which
happens, it seems to go, especially in Florida.
Oh, my goodness.
It seems to go all the time when an air conditioning breaks. It's usually right before the first heat wave in April or May, and then nobody's available to fix it because everybody's is broken, and there's only so many people that are able to
fix air conditioners.
Fix the air conditioning.
Yes, because everybody has, going off to college and nobody knows how to fix air conditioners anymore.
Yeah, no, they're more college, less apprenticeships.
Yeah.
That's something that Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs, used to talk about. So
that's a great show. I love that show.
Great show. He came to NASA once.
Oh yeah.
I was so bummed because he came on a weekend and they were cleaning the crawler. The crawler is the ginormous beast that carries the shuttle.
It's huge.
It's ginormous. When I was standing next to it once, it's like one of the teeth of the 8 wheels was my size. Just one.
Yeah.
It's ginormous. Anyway, I completely digress.
Oh, but the point being that, you've got these things that happen at all times. None of
them are convenient timing.
Never convenient timing. And then you've got to come up with the out-of-pocket costs to deal with that. So how do you do that? Of course, well, you have to budget for it. And how do you budget for it? Well, you have to save.
And how do you save when your mortgage is astronomical?
Exactly. So it's not a guaranteed, vehicle to wealth, long-term wealth. It's a job.
Yeah, here, this. Oops. That's how it is. Let me do it again.
Sad trombone.
Yeah, because it's sad. It's like a job.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Depends on what kind of job you got, I guess.
Well, that's a whole other episode.
We've talked about that. We'll talk about that some more, too. But no, I wanted to talk about this home buying thing because it is something that is impacting many young adults. And they're getting...
It is pouring.
Oh, it just came... Yeah, it just started to come down. So, yeah, they're getting very frustrated because they can't get into homes. And And it's like... Well, that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, to believe me.
So it's interesting, during the 2021, when the mortgage prices or home prices were going up astronomically, a lot of my friends that, were in a house and they could have sold their house for $200,000 more than they had paid for it. And they're like, oh, I got to do this. And I was like, but where are you going to go when all of the houses cost this much? If you leave, then you're going to be struggling. You're going to be underwater because all of the properties cost more, and then the taxes are going to be more. Is that an accurate statement?
Well, if your property price goes up, then if you have the same percentage tax, yes, it's going to be more. Right. And that's actually a really good point because I had that situation come up we bought a house and all of a sudden things went, ballistic and prices of housing started, jumping and jumping and jumping. And that was back in California. And I wanted to get out. I'm like, there's this, just let's cash out of it right now. Yeah. Let's cash out of it right now, take the money, and then we'll buy in again in, a year or so when the property prices come back to a more reasonable level. Because if you take a profit out of your house, you have to use that money to buy another house, or you get taxed on it.
Is that so?
That is so.
Is that a law?
Yeah, it's tax law.
So what if you don't want to buy another house? What if you only want to rent a condo or something?
You could do it, but you're going to pay tax on the gain. Whereas you can, if you buy another house, you can roll that gain
I got you.
into the purchase of another home. And so a lot of people do that as they start moving upward or into larger or more expensive homes. They sell their smaller home or less expensive home, and they made a profit on it, and they roll that profit into the next house, et cetera, et cetera. Always, so you're always staying kind of, and it basically keeps you from having to pay a near-term tax on it. Otherwise, it comes in as current income, and you get beat up.
Lovely.
So
That's a whole other conversation.
Well, I mean, it's true. But but again, the reality of it was, what happens? The fear thought was, okay, what happens if we can't find another place?
Right.
And then,
Then the rush to, oh my God, I need to get something.
and then you're stuck. So I mean, we didn't end up doing it, which I thought was a tremendous mistake. But it just is the way it worked out. But you can't go backwards in time. But I am, again, for young homeowners or young people or even old people who want to buy a home, give it some good thought. Look at the area. Be sure that this is a place that you want to be over the next 7 years, because you're very likely going to be there for a while.
Yeah.
And, things might change in your life. You might have children. You might you weren't so concerned about the school districts or the qualities of the schools then, but now all of a sudden you are. So give it some thought before you commit, and never be afraid that you're going to be missing out on something. I've seen so many real estate professionals deal in this. If you don't do it now, you're missing out, and that if you're making decisions of that magnitude because of fear of missing out, you're making fear-based decisions, and that is usually met with a smack in the face from the universe. So be cautious.
Yes, you do not want the universe to smack your face.
No, you don't. It does it enough.
It doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel really good.
No, it does not.
It's like getting slapped with a wet tortilla.
Yes, as in tortilla challenge.
Yes, and by the way, listeners, if you haven't done the tortilla challenge, I highly encourage you to do so. It's a lot of fun.
It's we're like 4 or 5 years past when the original tortilla challenge happened, so you can find it on social media. It's quite fun. There's a lot of tortilla challenge misses, if you will.
Yeah, it's almost as fun
And I will, if you will.
Oh yeah, and I will.
Okay, thank you. Can you do it with a little more enthusiasm?
And I will.
Thank you. Please continue.
Again, I don't even remember what I was saying.
We were talking
anymore.
about tortilla challenge.
Well, do we have a listener question?
Of course we have a listening question.
Okay.
All right, here, okay. It's from Paul, 29, from Monterey, California.
Ooh, Monterey.
So I love
beautiful.
the Monterey Aquarium. I really do.
So beautiful.
It is beautiful. Okay. Hi, Will.
Hey.
All right. I want to thank you for sharing your wisdom and all of the bad dad jokes.
You're welcome.
What can I say except you're welcome? I love your podcast, and I have listened religiously since my friends turned me on to this.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, friends.
Yes, jinx. I have a question that has been nagging at me for the past few years, okay, and I could really use some dad advice. All right, here we go. I have an acquaintance out here whom I have known since I was in grade school. David isn't a particularly intelligent or athletically gifted, but he was always super popular in school and college. His parents are loaded. He's their only child. He's always had the best of everything. Everyone has always flocked him, and he's been at the center of every major party, festival, or event. After high school, he was able to get into a top-end university, even though his grades were never anything to brag about. He's now in an excellent corporate job. He's been promoted. It's like the gods have blessed his life without him ever having to earn any of it. Meanwhile, I have always struggled to make friends. I had to work to pay my way through a state school, even though I always earned top grades, played sports, I volunteered in my community. I am now working in a crappy job with no prospects to pay my rent. I don't want to sound jealous, but I can't help feeling this way. The complete unfairness of the situation eats at me and makes me crazy every time I see him. Will this ever get better? Wow, Paul.
Paul.
First of all, thank you, Paul, for writing, and that's huge.
Yeah,
Wow.
it is. Well, Paul, thank you for sharing that. And I'm not going to be flippant by saying you don't want to be jealous, but you are. But Paul, I have to ask the question. Okay, and I mean, I hear what you're saying, and yeah, I mean, sometimes it does feel like life is just patently unfair, and you look at it and say, well, why him, not me? Why her, not me? And it can feel that way. It really can, and so I mean, your feelings. I'm going to validate the fact that you're feeling this way. So, and I'm not going to shame you for that, but I do want to ask you the question. Okay. And I know you're struggling with this because you're feeling ashamed of this too. And people feel the way they feel.
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing to be afraid of. It, you know, jealousy is certainly a feeling that we have all experienced at one time or another. All right. But the question I want to ask you, Paul, how do you know what what was his name? David?
David.
How do you know what David is going through on the daily?
That's true.
Now, you know, maybe David's life isn't all so glowy. Maybe David struggles through a lot of issues. Maybe David's putting on a nice front. Maybe he doesn't feel that way at all. Maybe David was really embarrassed by the fact that he didn't get good grades. Maybe his parents had huge expectations of him. You know,
so many
you
what
don't
ifs.
know what David's going through in David's life. Only David knows what David's going through in David's life. He may be looking at you
I was just gonna
and
say
say,
that.
wow, I just wish I could go through my life and not have any of these expectations laid on me. I just want to live a normal life where I don't worry about whether people are really my friends or they're just hanging around me because I got money.
Right.
You don't know what he's going through. So let's give yourself a little grace.
Yeah.
Okay, give David a little grace.
Yes.
You know? I mean, so yes, it can actually feel that people have had just the heavens have opened and blessed these people. But everybody's got their own journey. And this is where I'm going to give you some advice. You need to focus on your journey. What is your journey about? What is going on in your day? You're in a dead end job
Yes.
with no upward prospects.
Right.
Is that the fact? Well, maybe you need to start looking at your own path and what you can do. What is your and what about the joy that you have in your day?
Right.
Are you going to let somebody else's success or a parent's success eat away at the joy of your life
Right.
in this day? How many days do you actually think you're going to have, Paul? I mean, are you gonna sacrifice that day and sacrifice the joy of that day because somebody else appears to have more than you do?
Yeah.
The thing here is to focus on you. What is your path? What is it that you want? What is your formula for success? And then go achieve it.
Yeah.
Don't look at what somebody else has or does not have, because I can promise you that somebody always will have more, okay? And somebody will always have less.
Yeah. Well, didn't you? We just read this article.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were telling me about it. The two guys from
Shark Tank.
Shark Tank. Yeah, Mark Cuban and Robert. How do you pronounce his last name?
Herjavec.
Yeah.
Herjavec.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe Paul could benefit from this story.
Oh yeah. So Herjavec was saying the Sharks were at a high school, presentation of some sort, and so one of the kids in high school asked Herjavec asked him, well, why do you keep working
So hard.
why are you working so hard? And he said, well, I want a bigger jet than Mark Cuban. And then Mark Cuban looked over at him and said, which one?
That's a little humbling.
Yeah, a little bit of humble pie there.
Yeah.
but he took it and he said, okay, I've lost my compass here. I've actually forgotten why I'm doing what I'm doing here. If all I'm doing is trying to acquire more than, my friend Mark Cuban here, is that really why I'm doing what I'm doing? And is that really even worth doing?
Right.
So we all have and I was talking about, the game of life, and I've mentioned this before, the game of life, where you have your little magic formula as to what makes a successful life for you. Mm-hmm. And then as you're going about your daily grind, you're adding up points for those things that are mean anything to you. So before, rather than let this person drive you crazy because they appear to have all of the things, I think it's a really good idea for you to focus internally. What is it that you want out of your life?
Yes.
What do you care about and why?
Yeah. Like you mentioned, when you were in high school, you did volunteering, you did sports.
Yeah.
Volunteering is very fulfilling.
Right. Well, I've always felt that's an enormously important personal characteristic, is the ability to reach beyond yourself to help other people without expectation of anything in return.
Yeah.
Just give of yourself.
Yes.
Whatever skill, talent, whatever it is that you want to share with the world, give it.
Yeah.
And don't expect any return, and see what happens. But I will say this, that, focus on that. What's that formula for me? And realize that your journey is just beginning.
Yes.
You've got your whole life to unfold in front of you. And comparing yourself and that's why I really don't like this whole numbers concept of, what's your number? What's your number? I don't agree with it. It's, how does my number compare to somebody else's number? What is important to you?
Right.
Just focus on what's important to you and give a little bit of grace, because you don't really understand what somebody else is going through in this world.
That is accurate. That is completely accurate.
But give yourself some grace too, as you're throwing grace out there. Give yourself a little grace too, and say, okay, look, my feelings are maybe they're petty, maybe they're not grounded in reality, but I feel this way. So what can I do to not feel this way? Yeah. And to not feel this way, what I might recommend is maybe get to know the guy.
Yeah.
Get to know him a little bit. Find out about him. It's, again, we assume so much in life based on the outward trappings of somebody's life. We think we know so much about them, and you don't. And so, maybe don't make that assumption, and focus on, again, what makes you happy. At any rate, Paul, I wish you all the best with this. Don't beat yourself up too much. I know how it is, and it's hard out there, especially with social media, when you're seeing people living their best lives in that 30-second snippet of their life.
Right.
It
Most of which is not true.
Most of which is not true. Just try to remember that you yourself have your own journey, and part of the fun here is to find out what that's going to be, and enjoy every single moment of it, because that's what we're here for. Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you, Will Snow. That was beautifully said. And thank you, Paul, for writing in. Thank you for being a long-time listener, and we appreciate everything. So why don't you send us some of your dad jokes, too? That would be fun.
Yeah.
And more questions, of course. And I'd love to hear how you move that journey of yours forward.
Yeah.
So, all right. So,
and speaking, just so you know,
go on.
Oh, well, of the wealthy people in your family, Darth Vader has a billionaire cousin.
Does he? And
Yeah.
and tell me more.
His name is Tax Evader.
Okay. I'll give you that. I actually have two jokes. One is from Scotty, so I feel like it's only appropriate. So, all right. Why couldn't Luke find love?
Why could not Luke fight?
You're speaking like Yoda now. Why couldn't Luke find love? That is a tongue twister.
It is. I don't know.
He was looking for love in Alderaan places. All right. I do have another one that's not from Scotty.
Okay.
All right. So give me a second. Where did I put it? Since we're talking about planets in the Star Wars ecosystem, what sound do Yoda's sheep make?
I have no idea.
Dagobah.
Dagobah. Got it.
The Dagobah
Got
system.
it.
Dagobah. No?
No. No. Yeah. Yes.
They loved
They
it.
loved
See,
you.
they're clapping, they're laughing, all of the amazing things. Yeah, thank you.
Did you know that there was a Jedi rock star?
Go on.
Yeah. Bon Jovi Wan Kenobi.
Bon Jovi, Wan Kenobi. Oh, I love him so.
On AARP magazine.
Oh, shut up. All right, on that note, all right, everyone, thank you for tuning in to our special May the 4th be with you episode of Ask Dad, the show of fatherly advice for all with a smattering of bad dad jokes, today themed for May the 4th. The love is real and the man is real. So we'll see you next time. Until then, continue to send us your dad jokes and questions so we can talk about it all. We can talk about the good, we can talk about the bad, and we can talk about the dad. I almost messed it up. Is that your little Revenge of the 5th as of tomorrow? Mm-hmm. Is that the case?